If you like to experience a glowing, colorful neon sign on a rainy Vancouver night, or if you are in the I can't stand neon camp, there is an exhibition for you at the Vancouver Museum called Neon Vancouver, Ugly Vancouver. It is my pleasure to welcome Joan Seidl, the Director of Exhibitions and Collections for the Museum of Vancouver, to Studio 4 to tell us more. Neon Vancouver, or ugly neon in Vancouver?
Well, we're really trying to highlight the controversy that gripped Vancouver in the 1960s and early 70s when the city was trying to make its mind up. Did it love this neon, which it was very famous for, or was it tawdry and gaudy?
Yes.
A jungle.
I remember a big civic controversy.
Yes, yes. They did a lot of research. They sent, the Community Arts Council really spearheaded this research. They sent photographers out photographing what they saw as examples of good signage and bad signage.
And many were saying it's urban decay.
That's right, that's right. It was a sign that the city was going downhill, too commercial.
Yeah, the history of neon, the glory days of neon, why?
Well, a real, I think a very effective neon industry here was salesmen who just got out there and convinced absolutely everybody, from the funeral director to the shoe store, that they had to advertise in the modern mode. They needed their message in lights.
Sure, and there were lots of messages, and as you know, Fred Herzog, great photographer, artist photographer, has captured much of it, and it's very magical. It takes you back.
Yes.
I obviously like neon.
Yes.
Jimmy Pattison would be happy to hear that.
He would.
So how has it been decided what to save, what not to save?
It's very, really, the decisions have been fairly serendipitous, especially in the early years. In 1974, the city passed a bylaw that really limited the neon. And after that time, as signs came down, they couldn't go back up again. They hit the scrapyard. Most of the museum's collection was scavenged from the neon products scrapyard in 1977. Now, we've also added some really significant signs since then, probably the most important being the Smiling Buddha, which the band 5440 donated in 2008. So
they did, and the smiling Buddha.
Yes.
The smiling Buddha, his belly ripples.
It does.
As I recall.
As he chuckles.
He chuckles, the belly ripples, all of that. So 5440 bought it and gave it? I don't understand.
Well, the sign was hanging in front of the original cabaret on East Hastings Street after it closed.
Right.
5440 became aware of that and bought the sign, took it on the road with them for a long time. They named one of their albums The Smiling Buddha, became a real kind of iconic symbol of the band. Apparently it was the bane of the roadies because it weighs a lot.
I'm sure. Where's the Buddha?
Yeah, where's the Buddha? And his heavy transformers.
How interesting. So East Hastings Street, take us there. Miller Jewels, Save on Meats.
Yes, some real gems of signs which unfortunately are no longer with us. Save on Meats is, and that's been a really exciting thing to see that sign refurbished and lit up again in all its glory.
Yes, and who does that? Is that city-driven? Is it philanthropy, or a philanthropist, or how does it work?
The actual repair is done by a neon company, and there's still a number of them, although many fewer than there used to be in the city. If the Save on Meat sign had come down to be repaired, it would have contravened the bylaw and could not have gone up again without special permission. So it was repaired in place on the building, as many of these large signs are.
Who brought neon to North America? Do you know?
It was a French patent originally in the 1890s. So yes, it goes back really far. It doesn't hit Vancouver until the late 1920s. I think probably our first sign is 1928. And
was there a man named Neon?
There was a man named Claude Neon at one point in time, yes.
Really? Well, who knew? Now, in Chinatown, the Bamboo Terrace, and
Chinatown
Ming, wasn't it Ming Gardens?
Yes, Ming Wo.
Ming Wo.
Oh, Ming Wo, no, Ming Wo is, I'm thinking of now, there's Ming Wo. Ming Gardens, you're right.
Ming Gardens, that's right, and there was, what was it? It was, trying to remember.
The Ho-Ho?
The Ho-Ho.
Yes.
Yes.
With another steaming bowl of
noodles.
noodles.
Spent a lot of nights at the Ho-Ho. Yes, I did. Not much at the Ovaltine Cafe, but the White Lunch.
The White Lunch, yes.
Agnew Diamonds.
one of the oldest signs in the museum's collection, probably dating from the 1930s. It's great because it has protruding metal lettering spelling out the name, which is sort of old school. That was how they did signs before neon.
Right, we're looking
And then
now.
they would have outlined it in light bulbs in the old days. So this sign coming in the early days of neon, they haven't yet realized they don't really need those protruding metal letters. Once you turn the neon lights on, you can't see them. They've disappeared.
Exactly. The Drake Hotel, I doubt you've ever been to the Drake in the old days.
No.
I was there a couple of times with the radio salespeople. They dragged me.
Oh, I'm sure, yes. So it was a great big sign high up in the air in the corner of the parking lot. Originally, hotel was spelled out fully. This is just the piece of it that survived. Yes.
And is the Drake still there?
The Drake is not
Drake
there.
is gone. Okay, well, there's if those walls could talk, that's probably why it's gone. I'm suspecting. But at night, neon at night, is really, it's warming, isn't it? Especially in the rain.
Yeah, very special. By day, it can look a little seedy. Once night falls, they really lights up and you get a great sense of the city.
So take me into the bowels of the museum.
Yes.
Is there room for all of this, or what's going on?
Well, we store most of it off-site because it's big. The signs can be huge. You know, we've been able to get 22 of the signs in working condition and in the gallery for this exhibit, plus another 8 that we have in the permanent history galleries.
Okay.
Unfortunately, our biggest sign, the aristocratic sign, it's too big to fit through the doors.
Oh, too bad.
Yes.
The Aristocratic Cafe.
That's right. That's right.
So. Are there signs up for grabs right now, like Ted Harris Paints? I know they were talking about saving or not saving the Ted Harris Paints sign.
I think that one is not going to be saved.
It's not?
Yes.
Who decides that?
Well, I think it's a combination of the business owner. They contact the museum sometimes for our opinion. And in the case of the Ted Harris sign, I declined.
Okay.
It's very large, and I felt that there were other signs. I have a sort of top 10 hit list that I've got my eye on.
Like?
Well, certainly the Only Seafood, if it ever comes down. Neon Products, Patterson Signs knows, call me first. I was thrilled to see the reuse of the Helen's children's wear on
with the
East
swinging
Hastings
girl.
Street. Yes, was bought by the city of Burnaby and moved to Burnaby Heights, and it now signals the transition into Burnaby Heights.
Well, I had many a bowl of clam chowder at the Only.
Yes.
And the whitest bread in Canada. You know, it really was. White bread and great clam chowder. But no restaurant there anymore. The Only's gone.
That's right. It's been bought by the building's been bought by the Portland Hotel Society.
Right.
Who just had the sign completely refurbished. It looks pristine. It's fantastic and wonderful to see it out on the street again.
How did you get into this in the beginning, into curating and
you mean way back when?
Way back when. I know we're in Wisconsin at the Rock County Historical Society.
Well, that's where I started, age 14, as a summer job tour guide in the historic house in my hometown of Janesville, Wisconsin.
Really?
So, yes.
So are you an immigrant?
I am an immigrant.
You see?
And a citizen.
The Right Honorable Adrienne Clarkson can write about you too in the sequel. So you went from the Rock County Museum to where?
Well,
Boston, Massachusetts?
Yes, I worked in Sturbridge Village, which is a large outdoor history museum outside of Boston. Then I moved back to Minnesota, to the Minnesota Historical Society for 7 years, where I was a curator. Then I got married, and my husband got a job in Vancouver.
Really?
So
I'm
the classic trailing spouse. I came pregnant and unemployed.
Well, I'm glad you're here. Nice to see
so
you.
much.
And this Neon Vancouver, Ugly Vancouver, is up until next August.
That's right. Those
Great.
signs are big. Once we get them up there, we want
sure.
them to have a good...
I'm sure. Yes, we have to save money at the museum, don't we?
That's right, we do.
Thank you. Thank you. Joan Seidl.